how are you?
Hey Janet, how you doing?
Good.
You look great today.
Thank you.
Yellow's my favorite color, folks.
Thanks.
No, you look wonderful. You always look great, but particularly summery today.
Well, I did the yellow because I know we're going to be sizzling in the kitchen this evening.
Yeah, it is about 120 in here, right?
Yeah.
So, what are we going to do, huh? Got a little stock pot going over here.
I asked you about that. That's huge.
Yeah. We were making what they call a demi-glace. It's a brown stock. We roasted some veal bones. And this has been going on for a couple of days now, believe it or not. We roasted them in the oven, browned them up real well, and now we got them in the pot with some water, and they're going to cook all the flavor and whatnot out of the bones. And they're going to get progressively darker and darker. And we have some demi-glace that we made prior to this. Our last batch we're going to add to this and skim it and strain it. And it's going to be something we can make a number of sauces out of, particularly brown sauces. And the veal is kind of neutral. We can use it in some, let's say some pork and some veal dishes and even some beef dishes. You know, some people will go crazy and have a stock for every different thing. So this veal stock has a little bit of latitude to it. So but it's wonderful stuff. It's very expensive to make, very time consuming. But if you want to, in fact, we're going to use a little bit of that today in one of our sauces. But it's incredible that you put this stuff in there and it gets that sauce nice and velvety, and it's really nice stuff. What we were going to focus on today was serving things at room temperature. We're going to do a pasta dish, and especially when it's hotter out, you want to produce a dish and maybe get a little time in between to have a conversation, whether you had a couple of people over, it was just you and your husband. You know, when you're coming off with all the pots for all the different things at the same time, you've got that pile of dishes, you've got, you're going right to the meal, you want to eat it perfectly hot, and I feel like there's a lot too much emphasis put on that. I'd like to see, right, and then you know you're in the back of your head, was this all worth it? You're sitting there eating and knowing he better help me, that rotten guy or something, or else I'm not cooking, he's going to have hamburgers from here on in. But what I've done here, let's say, is we're going to do a loin of pork. And the reason I'm doing this loin of pork is I want to show the people that it doesn't take that long to cook. It's boneless. That's a biggie. You put this stuff on the bone, and it takes a year and a day. And, you know, pork chops are wonderful. I like them. But there's something to be said with for browning a pork loin about that big, I mean that wide, that diameter. And roasting it, let's say at about 450 degrees, browning it in an oven and roasting it takes almost no time. Take it out and slice it. Man, I'm telling you, it's really the oven heat. Like for instance, as opposed to real thick pork chops. Even the pork chops, I'd rather take them and turn the oven on and brown them in a pan. And instead of finishing them in the pan, put them in another pan or that pan and just throw it into the oven and roast them, because the oven temperature, the heat of the oven, really babies that. So I wanted to show us that. And I had cooked some broccoli off and seasoned it. You season it with whatever you want, or whatever vegetable, if you did want a vegetable. And I did roast some potatoes off.
I love your roasted potatoes, Dan.
These are, but these are at room temperature. We didn't want this. If you prepared this, so what I'm going to attempt to do is just maybe as the pork is finishing itself, put the broccoli and the potatoes in the oven, and while we're slicing the pork, leave them in there, and then serve them hot like that. So normally I feel like a lot of us would attempt to do the broccoli right on time, have it perfectly hot, the potatoes are roasting, everything's exactly where you want it. You know, admittedly, if you're going to have 25 people over, you know, even then you can do a lot of this stuff ahead of time. And then all you're going to focus on is the pan that you roasted the pork and the vegetables in, and clean that. Meanwhile, the pot you cooked off the broccoli and the potatoes and whatnot, you've possibly already cleaned that and put it away, so there's a minimal amount of work to do, especially if you buy some plastic plates, you know, to finish the dish. And there's not that much pressure under the gun to finish it. All you're really going to focus on then is the pork. You're not juggling 3 plates at one time. But I feel like it's important. I mean, granted, you don't want to cook the broccoli and the potatoes off, or some of this chicken I've cooked off for this other dish. You don't want to do it at 9 o'clock in the morning and have it in 90-degree heat roasting there. But yeah. I think the people get a little paranoid about, you know, leaving something hang around for 45 minutes or so out on a counter, maybe with a little top on it. I don't see anything wrong with that. Maybe you don't want eggs or something like that out there. But, you know, nothing's going to go bad with it. And I feel like to take it from room temperature to bring it to where you want to eat it, is it's one thing. It's another thing if you're going to get it the day be. This is where everything goes wrong. Somebody's going to have people over Friday, and they're going to do now the broccoli Wednesday and put it in the fridge. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about Friday earlier. You cook this stuff off and had it at your disposal is what we're talking about doing here. This is what happens. You know, people take this stuff to extremes, and you know, I feel like the food loses a lot of itself. Okay, so we might as well get started, or else our hour is going to be up here. Heard the Joey Bella affair went off real well, huh? All right, I'm going to put a little olive oil. Go ahead. Probably 1,200 people, my Lord. All right, we're going to put that pan on here. And, you know, people have different things that they like to serve pork with. I'm going to saute some cherry peppers off with that pork. And we're going to make a little sauce with it. But pork's a wonderful thing, you know, if you season the outside of it and whatnot, have it plain, or, you know, you can add anything you want to it. Maybe it's a vegetable stir fry or something like that, but or just serve it plain, you know. But we're just going to do it with the broccoli, the roasted potatoes, and the loin of pork. And I guess while we're doing a couple of other things here, we're going to have, this will be actual cooking time for the pork, right?
Okay.
You know, years ago, of course, too, if God forbid pork was pink in the center at all, you know, it'd be a bad thing. A bad thing. So what's new with you? How's the golf game, all right?
Not the golf game. Well, you know, we went to play golf.
Yeah?
This past weekend. Not bad.
Is Greg giving you any show? Is he giving you any strokes, or is he making you play even with him?
We're just about even.
Don't hit the ball past him, would you please? At least the day before he comes in here, all right? Don't hit the ball past him. I want him right. I want him in a nice mood. Yeah, right. Just, you know, give him that extra 3-5 yards. Don't, you know, take your 3-wood out, not the driver.
It'll be pretty soon.
My kids are starting to catch up to me, I'm telling you.
Really?
Oh, I can't take it. Matter of fact, I did have one of my little kids, this is Little Starter Golf Club, my son Nick. He can't hit the ball 20 feet. No, actually, he does hit pretty well for a 9-year-old. He just asked me this morning, Dad, can I have an $80 putter? That was his opening line this morning. He's more worried about diving in the pool. He's going to, yeah, right, taking it to Dad after Dad was 35. But yeah, he's got these little Twinkie clubs out here. They love bopping them around, but this kid's got to have all the equipment. He's got the gloves, he's got the shoes. He hits it pretty well, but you know, when I informed him that he's getting his older brother Dan's hand-me-downs on the golf clubs, I'm telling you, I'm going to have to talk him down out of a tree later, I think. But yeah, this morning it was the $80 putter. Not a nice putter, an $80 putter. Some of these putters here. We're going to sear this real hard in the pan. As you can see, this is very, very hot. I'm not seasoning the pork. I'll put it, season it when I put it in the oven. It's got some fat on the outside of it, you know, and that's going to cook off, and I don't think nothing wrong with a little fat there, right? In fact, I'll season this side right now with just some salt. Oh, it's going to hopefully fit in this mozzarella.
You know, I was going to tell you, by popular demand, folks, by popular demand, we're going to make mozzarella again.
Yeah,
You
been getting
asked for
browbeat.
it.
I've
Jen's
been
gonna do
yanked
it.
off the street here. What's the deal with the mozzarella? I missed it that time. Bring that back. So we're going to try to do that for you here, if we can get enough time. But yeah, we'll just sear the pork off. And this will make a mess in your kitchen. I could, you know, you have those kitchen screens and lids. You know, I just wanted to do this for the camera, but it will get kind of sloppy. And, you know, if you had your oven high enough, it would take a little longer to do, of course. But to put it in a pan like that and sear the juices in and get the cooking process started, it's a good thing. Also, while you're cooking off your broccoli or your vegetable and your potatoes, you could also sear the pork off a little bit and have that on a plate. So maybe just toss it in the oven and go, you know. Going to cook that for a moment or two. Let's check our temperature. We've been trying to work this mozzarella around 160 degrees. 160 to 165. I can see it's getting near there. See how nicely brown that is? See, I like to salt the first side down after I turn it over. I don't feel it browns as well. So we're going to put a little salt in, and you can be pretty liberal with the salt because It's very thick. It's a very thick piece of meat, you know. So I guess I'm going to put those peppers in when we throw the when we place the pork loin into the oven. Okay, put a few peppers on there. I guess we'll keep all the peppers at one end. And we're going to add a little of this oil to it, just to help it sizzle along. Alrighty, let's place that in there, and we'll, it's a very hot oven. I have it on 450. As you can see, we have a little residue in the bottom of the pan there. I'm going to toss that out. And I have some of that demi-glace I had talked to you about.
That looks
A real rich brown sauce. I'm going to mix it with a little this and that to help enrich this dish here. See how dark that is? Let me try putting some in the... See how that is? Just roasting those bones and reducing them, and it's really nice stuff. Some people don't favor it. This is a little stock that's flavored with some balsamic vinegar and some garlic. I'm going to add that to it. And maybe some salt and some pepper. And when the pork comes out of the oven, we'll serve the sauce with it, okay? We'll reduce that sauce a little bit and serve it with it. And if you can help remind me, Jen, and no doubt I'll forget about it, but maybe when the pork is about 2/3 of the way done or so, we're going to put this broccoli and the potatoes that we cooked off earlier into the oven to finish it with the pork. All we'll want to focus on is slicing the pork, putting the sauce on it, and then taking the vegetables and potatoes out. But like I said, the main thing is this stuff did not get re-refrigerated. All right, what are we going to do now? I wonder how our water temperature is for the mozzarella. All right, we're starting to get there. I might as well get it ready. I'll do this before the chicken dish that we were going to have. Actually, it's a pasta dish with vegetables and chicken. And once again, you can see I've cooked the chicken off. And we've sliced it already. You can saute it, or you can poach it, steam it, any way you want to get the chicken where it's edible. The main thing is it's cooked all the way through, and it's at room temperature. We're going to serve it with, the pasta's going to be hot, the plate can be hot, excuse me, and the oil, the minimal amount of oil that we're going to put on the top of it is going to be very hot too. So I don't, as long as this stuff isn't ice cold, and it's very difficult to produce all this stuff at one time, you know. So we're just going to show you how we're going to just make a quick summer type of pasta, and without going crazy, and having it done ahead of time. Notice we've cooked this linguine off also,
Yes.
al dente. So all this is sitting here now. You've got a little cheese and crackers out, a little salsa, whatever your favorite hors d'oeuvre is, and you know, a couple martinis, of course. Got to have that to wash it down. And you know, you can just you can relax for a while. And the only thing with this dish that we're going to do, matter of fact, we'll do that now. I'll turn this down even more. We'll finish the mozzarella later. But the only thing you're going to focus on here is browning the garlic in the oil and dipping the pasta, and you're going to build the dish and serve it. You know, it's a 2-second operation. Yeah, easy. Alrighty, so all I'm going to do is put some oil in the pan. And we don't have to use all the garlic and the oil that we're going to make here. I just want to make sure I have enough to finish 2 dishes. This is what we're going to make, pasta for 2. So I got some real nice oil here. I'm not going to get it crazy hot. And I've got a little water to dip. You know, you can do this right at home. Have your little strainer ready, have your pasta, whatever type you choose, and some boiling water. And it's good anyway. A lot of times if you... it's nice to rinse all the starch off, and which is what's going to happen here again when we redip this in into the pasta water. It's going to get it hot and get the starch off it and get it where we want to get it. And we have a little slivered garlic here. I'm going to use that sliced garlic to get this dish together. It's edible. I love it. You know, you don't get it. You don't over brown it. You want to get it where it's a little crisp, and you know, and it works well with the dish. Alrighty, I want to get this garlic in the pan. You can hear the pan is going a little bit. I didn't want to, you don't want the pan too hot. Otherwise the garlic is going to brown a little more quickly than we'd rather have it. But you know, I could strain this out and put it on the dish, but I just like the garlic. If you brown it properly, it's a good thing. And this dish is going to get put together very, very quickly while that garlic is in the pan. So here we go. fact, I'm going to turn this down to a whisper. I'm also going to put our pasta into the agua as I dump it all over the place. Alrighty. Matter of fact, I'll just toss it in there. You don't have to leave it in long. It's boiling. It's going to flavor the oil and brown itself. We do like all the water out of our pasta, off of our pasta. I feel like the water kills the pasta. Swish it around in there. All right, I've got a couple plates.
Garlic is coming along very nicely.
Mm-hmm. Do you have to get so close with that camera? Everybody's gonna be exposed. You know, I'm almost gonna turn this off now. If I can only get the garlic to turn over. There we go. It's getting nice and light brown right now, so I think I'm going to turn this off. Okay. We're going to take a little linguine. And we don't want to overdo this oil. It can get very greasy quickly. I mean, if you really want to, you can take a little more olive oil and just add it to the dish. There we go. Alrighty. Like I said, I sauteed this chicken off earlier. It's all room temperature. If I was thinking properly, I could have put the plates in the oven to help that get everything hot. I'll put the red on the bottom. I've got some of these oven roasted tomatoes. I just happen to have some green beans on hand. We blanched these off. Everything was blanched off earlier. These artichokes came right out of a can. Don't tell anybody that, would you? Got some mushrooms. We could have cooked off the mushrooms, but I feel like the mushrooms are petite enough that, you know, it'll work just fine. All right. All right. We'll try a little salt. A little pepper, and like I said, this is something that's easy to do at home. Just don't be afraid to serve this stuff room temperature or to have the textures. I'll try a little Parmesan cheese. Maybe then the oil will... There's my little spoonie. I'm going to chicken out and add the vinegar right. You can add this right from your little container. Add a little vinegar to the dish, as much as, or as little as you'd like. And all we're going to do now is just add some garlic and oil to it. We get a few pieces on each dish. You know, it's not over browned. It's nice. I could even cut this garlic just a little smaller, and just just drizzle this garlic perfumed oil on top. And like I say, if you don't have enough oil, you can just take a little oil out of the cupboard and put it on. And then it's a kind of a form of a primavera pasta, I guess, right? Little vegetables and little pasta. And like I said, the main thing is all we did under the gun right then is all you would have to do under the gun if we had this stuff all cooked off, including the pasta. That's it. Dinner for two.
Okay, and Dan, I understand now you've cut the curd.
Yeah.
What it's called at this
Yeah,
point?
baby.
Curd? For the mozzarella.
Right, yeah, we try to slice the, actually it came in one large piece and we cut it down. I try to cook a little bit of it at a time to do, in fact, in the middle of the evening, if I needed a little more of it, it'd take me 15 minutes to get it together. The main thing is water temperature, working it, buying the proper curd. Yeah, really, some of these things are terrible. But we did, you notice that the slices aren't totally even, but everything cooking evenly is very, very important. So I attempted, provided my hand's not too shaky, to cut these pieces all even. So I shall place it into the container. And like I said, we've gotten this water to between 160 and 165 degrees. And I have that right over here. I'm going to toss that right in. And as soon as I do, I have this little little paddle here to work these slices apart from each other, because we want to cook it evenly. We don't want them stuck together. It's very, very important, because we don't want it sitting here all day. They say that it's burning then. I'll burn it if I overcook it.
Oh, you can actually burn the curry.
Yeah, not burning per se, but yeah, if it's overcooked, forget it. You cook all of the
What's that word?
right, the whey and the cream out of the curd. You know, it floats to the top and it goes away, and you're left with just something that they could make chewing gum out of.
You don't want to eat.
Right.
Hey, Dan, it looks like the mozzarella's getting a little softer, a little
Right.
stretchier.
Right. It looks like it's about, we've been cooking it a little bit in this hot water, and I guess we're going to attempt to work it all together into a ball. You can see there's slices and it's all gooey and whatnot here. I'm going to work it into one little end of our container. This is, if I make a larger amount of this at one time, we don't have to get, it comes together a little more easily. When it's a smaller amount, you got to go chasing all over the bottom of the container for all the little pieces. I'm just going to work them together a little bit here just to get them married to each other, and then we're going to attempt to stretch it to get it creamy, get it all as one. We want to get it where it's all a nice one creamy ball of cheese.
Now, I know so many of our viewers have been asking to see this again because we're
Right.
curious to find out how to make mozzarella. We all have dreams about doing this, but I think after watching you, we're not going to do it.
Forget it. Go to the deli and buy it. But yeah, you can see I'm just holding a little of this and letting the weight of the cheese itself help stretch it. I'm doing a minimal amount of work with my hand. And we're just going to try to keep turning this and stretching it. We don't want to the sooner you get it out of the water, the better. When it's done, it's done. All right, I've cut a little piece off. I feel like it's ready, and I'm just going to all I'm going to try to do is put it in this little form right here. Just going to work it with my fingers a little bit. And I'm going to settle it in there. And what you have to do is pinch it closed. You really have to pinch it closed, or else it's not going to work out too well for you. And that, with the phone ringing, is our mozzarella.
Okay, Dan, I understand our pork is probably ready.
I hope so.
Let's take a look.
It's probably medium rare, knowing my luck. All right, I'll slice the pork up first. You can see how the peppers have wilted. They'll be nice. And we'll slice this, I guess, arrange it on a plate, and in the meantime, I've just turned the oven off, and the broccoli and potatoes that we had cooked off prior should be nice and hot and ready to go, and we'll serve it. Alrighty, I guess I'll put this maybe at a little angle to let the oil get away from our peppers. Alrighty, let's slice it up and see what we have going here. I'm slicing with my right hand. I guess I'll start from this side. Let's see what we have. Of course, pork you can slice it. You can see there's just a touch of pink there, just a touch.
Oh, yes.
Okay, but I think that's great. You know, you can cinderize it if you like. And but this is just really great, I think. It's just a touch of pink, the slightest hue of pink. Let me see if I can cut with the other hand. Mr. Ambidextrous here. There we go. I'm left-handed, but I slice with my right hand, if you can believe that one.
No. Well, you're doing pretty well.
Right. It's nice and crisp on the outside. And as you saw, I mean, we haven't been here that long. It didn't take that long for this to cook at all, right?
No, it didn't.
I don't think.
thank you again for joining us in the dining room after we got out of the sizzling kitchen today. Dan, why don't we go over for our audience what we've made today?
We had the fresh mozzarella that I'm crazy enough to do here on campus, but it is worth it. It's very nice. It's creamy and dreamy. We did our pasta dish, a form of a primavera, where we had a little sliced garlic, a little balsamic vinegar, and the vegetables and the pasta were cooked off ahead of time. And we just put the dish together quickly by browning some garlic. The main thing is don't put the stuff into the fridge. Now it's cold. We had dinner for two with that, and we roasted off the boneless pork loin. And the main thing was how short a period of time it took in the oven.
Yes,
and we seared it in the pan and had the vegetables and the potatoes done ahead of time. So all we did was roast it, slice it, plate it, and go. Okay, and that was, we drizzled that balsamic sauce on there, the with the demi-glace, that nice little sauce.
Yeah, and
that cheeky little
presentation.
Oh,
as
thank
usual.
you. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for watching Cooking with Dan Leslie. My name is Janet Rapasardi-Hoff, and we'll see you next week.